Chapter 1. From Victim to Author. Most people don't realize how often they give away their power by the words they speak, the thoughts they repeat, and the stories they tell themselves. Have you ever caught yourself saying, "Why does this always happen to me?" That sentence alone reveals a hidden belief that life is something happening to you, not something you're actively shaping. It's the difference between being a character and being the author. The victim mindset is subtle. It doesn't always look like self-pity. Sometimes it shows up as blame, resentment, or even constant over-explaining. It's a worldview where you assume your past defines your future, where you believe external forces have more control than your internal choices, where you wait for circumstances to change, not realizing the change starts with you. Now imagine this. Same story, but you're the author. That means you still experience challenges, loss, rejection, and failure. Those don't magically disappear. But instead of those things defining you, you decide how to interpret them. You become the one who assigns meaning, direction, and growth. An author doesn't deny pain, but they do choose what happens next. Being the author means asking new questions. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" you ask, "What is this trying to teach me? What pattern do I need to see here? What would the next strong, wise version of me do now?" This is where change begins, not in trying to fix everything out there, but in shifting the story you're telling in here. Think of the greatest stories you've ever read or watched. The hero always starts uncertain, under-equipped, flawed. But the turning point isn't when they find the sword or meet the mentor. It's when they make a decision, a moment where they stop running and start owning. You get that moment too, every day. Maybe it's forgiving someone who never apologized. Maybe it's walking away from a role you've outgrown. Maybe it's finally standing up and saying, "This is not how my story ends." Your power begins the moment you stop outsourcing your life's direction to circumstances, people, or your past. When you take the pen back, things start to shift. You begin to act from intention, not reaction. You build habits that reflect your values, not your fears. You become someone who doesn't just survive but writes a life worth reading. Because here's the truth. No one is coming to rewrite your life for you. No one is going to edit the old chapters, but you don't need them to. The moment you realize you are the author, the rest of the story is yours to tell. Chapter 2. From Control to Clarity. There's a strange kind of exhaustion that comes not from doing too much, but from trying to control too much. We micromanage outcomes, overthink conversations, obsess over details, and try to make everything go the way we imagined it. And when it doesn't, we blame ourselves, other people, or the world. This obsession with control starts early. We're taught to take charge, plan ahead, fix things, prevent problems before they happen. And while responsibility is powerful, what often happens is something very different. We don't just try to control our actions, we try to control everything. We try to control how people perceive us. We try to control what others do, say, feel. We try to control how fast we grow, how quickly things fall into place. And when life doesn't go our way, when someone misunderstands us, when an opportunity falls through, when progress feels slow, we feel like we're failing. But here's the truth. Control is an illusion. You don't control how fast someone forgives you. You don't control how people see you. You don't control when your breakthrough will come. You don't even control your next breath, not entirely. So what do you control? Your clarity. Clarity is knowing what's yours to carry and what isn't. Clarity is choosing intention over tension. Clarity is learning to breathe, even when the storm outside is loud. Let's make it real. Imagine this. You're working hard to improve yourself. You're reading the books. You're building habits. You're healing old wounds. And yet your family still sees you as the old you. Your partner doesn't notice your effort. Your boss keeps overlooking you. If you're stuck in the mindset of control, you might try harder, force conversations, seek constant validation, beg to be seen. But if you live from clarity, you ask a different question. Am I living in alignment with who I want to be, regardless of their recognition? Because when you live from clarity, you understand you are responsible for your growth. Others are responsible for how they receive it. And sometimes their reactions aren't about you at all. Another example, you're in a season of transition. Things aren't falling into place as quickly as you hoped. You want answers, certainty, control. But clarity says, even in the unknown, I can choose my attitude, my actions, my next best step. You start releasing your grip on outcomes. You start asking, what's true for me right now? Not what's ideal, not what's easy, not what would make others approve, just what's true. This isn't about passivity. It's not about giving up or letting life steamroll you. Clarity isn't weakness. It's precision. It's power without panic. It's shifting your energy from the uncontrollable to the intentional. Here's what happens when you live with clarity. You become less reactive. You stop spiraling over every comment or delay. You make cleaner decisions. No more agonizing over what other people might think. You get your energy back. Because instead of trying to manage everything, you manage yourself. And that's where freedom begins. Think about the last time you were truly clear on something. Maybe you set a boundary even though it scared you. Maybe you ended a relationship that no longer aligned. Maybe you made a decision others questioned, but deep down, you knew it was right. That kind of clarity creates peace. A deep, grounded peace that no amount of external control can offer. So how do you move from control to clarity? You pause. You breathe. You ask better questions. What part of this is mine to handle? What part do I need to let go of? What's my intention here? Not my fear, not my ego, just my intention. And then you move from that place. Control may promise safety, but clarity gives you strength. And strength is what carries you forward when nothing else feels certain. Let them misunderstand. Let the timeline shift. Let life do what it will. You don't need to control every wave, you just need to keep steering your boat. That's the power of clarity. Chapter 3. From Comparison to Curiosity. We've all been there. Scrolling through social media, seeing someone else hit a milestone you've been chasing for years. They got the job. They launched the business. They're in love, glowing, thriving. And suddenly, without warning, you feel small. Not because you wish them harm, but because their success shines a light on your doubts. Why not me? Am I falling behind? What am I doing wrong? Comparison creeps in quietly, like a shadow. It doesn't scream, it whispers. And those whispers, if you listen long enough, turn into stories. Stories that say, you're not enough. Stories that say, they're winning and you're not. Stories that say, you're too late, too slow, too flawed. But here's what comparison never tells you. It's a liar. Comparison isn't truth, it's a distortion. It compares your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. It judges your process by someone else's results. It overlooks your growth, your resilience, your silent wins because it's too busy measuring outcomes. But what if there was a different way? What if instead of comparing, you got curious? Curious about why something triggers you. Curious about what someone else's success is showing you about your own desires. Curious about your own path, unique, beautiful, imperfect, and unfolding at its own pace. Curiosity is the antidote to comparison. Where comparison contracts you, curiosity expands you. Where comparison judges, curiosity explores. Where comparison says, you should be like them, curiosity asks, what's true for you? Let's break it down. Say you see someone with the lifestyle you dream about, traveling, financially free, joyful. Comparison might tell you you're lazy, you'll never get there. But curiosity says, what part of this resonates with me? What do I admire and how can I learn from it? Instead of spiraling into inadequacy, you begin to extract wisdom. Or imagine watching someone effortlessly speak in public, something you fear. Comparison makes you shrink. Curiosity makes you lean in. What are they doing well? What can I practice? What would my version of that look like? See the shift? Comparison paralyzes. Curiosity mobilizes. Here's the truth. Everyone is running a different race. Some start with advantages. Some face invisible battles. Some peak early. Others bloom late. But if you're so focused on everyone else's lane, you'll trip in your own. The real question is, what do you actually want, and are you moving toward it? Curiosity helps you realign with your values. It reminds you that success isn't a competition, it's a conversation between you and your potential, between your fears and your courage, between your past and your vision for the future. You don't have to stop admiring people. You don't have to pretend their success doesn't move you. But you do have to stop weaponizing it against yourself. Instead, turn every comparison into a question. What is this showing me about my own desires? What can I learn from their journey? What's the next small step I can take? That's the shift. From jealousy to inspiration, from shame to motivation, from envy to empathy. And as you do this, something beautiful happens. You become a student of life again. You become open, teachable, grateful. You stop fighting reality and start co-creating with it. So the next time you feel comparison tightening its grip, pause, take a breath, and get curious. Ask, what is this moment trying to teach me about myself? That's where growth begins. Chapter 4. From perfectionism to progress. Perfectionism wears many faces. Sometimes it looks like high standards. Sometimes it looks like procrastination. Sometimes it sounds like, I'm just not ready yet. But underneath it all, perfectionism is fear of being seen, of failing, of not measuring up. We convince ourselves that if we just get everything right, then we'll finally feel worthy. If we say it perfectly, if we look flawless, if our work is immaculate, then we'll deserve success, love, rest. But perfection is a moving target. No matter how close you get, it always shifts a little further out of reach. And in the pursuit of that unattainable ideal, something tragic happens. You stop moving. You stop writing the book because the first paragraph isn't good enough. You don't launch the idea because the branding isn't perfect. You don't speak up because you don't know exactly what to say. And without realizing it, your potential is buried beneath layers of hesitation and self-doubt. Here's the truth. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Perfection tells you to wait. Progress tells you to begin. Perfection wants everything polished. Progress wants something real. Perfection is rigid. Progress is alive. Let's get honest. Think about something you've been delaying, not because you don't care, but because you care too much. You want it to be your best work, your big break, your masterpiece. But in waiting for it to be flawless, it doesn't exist at all. Now ask yourself, what if it didn't need to be perfect? What if it just needed to be true? Progress invites you to start messy, to create before you're confident, to build before you're sure. Because here's the secret. Confidence doesn't come before action, it comes from it. You become a writer by writing bad pages. You become a leader by making awkward decisions. You become strong by showing up on the days you feel weak. Progress is a mindset, a decision to value movement over mastery, to value direction over perfection. One step forward flawed, unsure, human is more powerful than standing still, waiting for the stars to align. Think about the most successful people you admire. Do you really think they got there by being perfect? Or did they get there by doing, learning, refining, and evolving? Progress is humbling. It forces you to be seen in your unfinished state. But that's where connection happens. That's where momentum is born. Because people don't resonate with your polish, they resonate with your courage. So how do you shift from perfectionism to progress? Start where you are, with what you have. Let the first version be clumsy. Let the email have a typo. Let the conversation be imperfect. Let the idea be half-formed. But start. Give yourself permission to create without apology, to show up without a guarantee, to build something you're proud of along the way, not just at the finish line. Progress teaches you that your worth isn't tied to the final product, it's revealed in the process. It's who you become as you move forward. As you fall, get back up and keep going. And over time, something amazing happens. You build confidence not from being flawless, but from being resilient. Progress gives you your power back. It says you don't have to be perfect to be impactful. You just have to be present. It whispers, done is better than perfect. It reminds you, real growth happens in the doing. So let go of the illusion. Let go of the pressure. And take the next step even if it's shaky, even if it's small. Because momentum builds. And before you know it, you'll look back and realize you didn't need perfection. You just needed to begin. Chapter 5. From people pleasing to self-respect. At first glance, people-pleasing looks like kindness. You say yes to help someone. You avoid conflict. You show up, support, sacrifice. But over time, something doesn't feel right. You feel drained, resentful, invisible. Because what started as generosity slowly turned into self-erasure. People-pleasing isn't kindness, it's fear in disguise. Fear of being disliked. Fear of disappointing others. Fear of not being enough unless you're useful, agreeable, or easy to love. So you smile when you're breaking inside. You agree when your gut says no. You rearrange your life to avoid upsetting someone else. And all the while, a voice inside quietly asks, when is it my turn? Here's the truth. People-pleasing is a form of self-abandonment. You abandon your needs to meet theirs. You abandon your truth to keep the peace. You abandon your boundaries to feel accepted. But real connection, real love, real respect doesn't come from pretending to be who others want. It comes from being who you truly are. And that requires a shift from pleasing others to honoring yourself. This shift is not about becoming selfish. It's about becoming sovereign. It's about learning to say, I matter too. It's about building a life where your needs, your voice, your energy are not optional extras, they're essential. Let's get real. You won't be able to please everyone. You're not meant to. You'll be too much for some, too quiet for others, too ambitious, too emotional, too honest, too soft. No matter how carefully you shape yourself, someone will misunderstand you. So stop chasing approval. Start building self-respect. Self-respect is saying no without guilt. Self-respect is honoring your boundaries, even when it makes others uncomfortable. Self-respect is choosing to tell the truth, even when your voice shakes. It's realizing that love isn't proven by how much you bend, but by how fully you can stand in your truth. Here's what happens when you stop people-pleasing. Your relationships get real. No more tiptoeing. No more pretending. You attract people who respect you, not just benefit from your compliance. You stop feeling like life is happening to you and start shaping it with intention. It won't always be easy. Some people will push back. Some won't like the new you. But those aren't your people. Because the ones who love you for who you really are, they'll stay. Or they'll come and they'll meet you with respect, not requirements. So how do you begin this shift? Start with small choices. Say no when you mean no. Pause before agreeing. Ask yourself, am I doing this from love or from fear of rejection? Notice the moments when you silence yourself for the sake of someone else's comfort. Then remind yourself, you're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to need. You're allowed to be whole. This isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about making one choice at a time that aligns with your truth. And in doing so, you send a powerful message to the world. I will no longer trade my peace for approval. You reclaim your time. You protect your energy. You choose yourself not in place of others, but in partnership with your own worth. Because self-respect is not about shutting people out, it's about letting the right people in. People who see you, who hear your no, who honor your boundaries not as walls, but as doors into a deeper, more authentic connection. You weren't born to be agreeable. You were born to be real. So drop the mask. Speak your truth. Choose your peace over their comfort. Because the world doesn't need a more pleasing version of you. It needs a more honest one. Chapter 6. From Fear to Empowerment. Fear is part of being human. It shows up at the edge of every major decision. It whispers before you speak up, launch, leave, begin. It tells you to wait, to shrink, to stay safe. And in a way, fear isn't wrong, it is trying to protect you. From rejection, from failure, from the unknown. But here's the twist. The life you want, the one filled with meaning, love, growth, impact, it lives on the other side of fear. Not because fear disappears, but because you stop letting it decide for you. Fear will always have a voice, but it doesn't get to have the final vote. This is the shift, from fear to empowerment. Empowerment doesn't mean you're fearless. It means you're willing to feel scared and show up anyway. Willing to take action before you feel ready. Willing to live life by design, not by default. Think about it. How many moments have you avoided not because you lacked ability, but because you were afraid? Afraid of judgment. Afraid of messing up. Afraid that you'd try and it still wouldn't be enough. That fear is understandable, but it's also outdated. You're not who you used to be. You've been through storms. You've overcome things you once thought would break you. You've survived hard seasons. And you're still here, which means you're stronger than your fear. Let's talk about what fear really is. Fear is imagination used against yourself. It's a future scenario your mind creates without evidence. It's a projection, not a prophecy. Empowerment is choosing a new story. A story that says, yes, it might go wrong, but what if it goes right? A story that says, I've handled hard things before. I can handle what's next. A story that says, I don't have to feel confident, I just have to be committed. You don't need to wait until the fear disappears. You need to walk with it. Invite it along for the ride, but don't hand it the keys. Here's a truth most people don't talk about. Courage often feels like fear until after the fact. You feel shaky, uncertain, vulnerable, and then you do the thing. And that's when empowerment shows up. Not before, not instead of, but through the fear. You begin to trust yourself not because everything goes perfectly, but because you see what you're capable of in motion. Want a shortcut to empowerment? Start collecting evidence. Evidence of times you did the hard thing. Evidence of times you spoke up when it was easier to stay silent. Evidence of growth, of grit, of resilience. This becomes your emotional armor. Not bravado, not denial, but proof. And as that evidence builds, something in you shifts. Fear loses its grip. Because now you're no longer ruled by, what if it all goes wrong? You're powered by, I can handle what comes. Empowerment is about reclaiming your choices. It's not waiting for life to give you permission. It's giving it to yourself. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be certain. You just need to be willing. Willing to try. Willing to risk. Willing to rise. You are not made to live small. You were not meant to stay trapped in cycles of doubt and delay. There is something inside you, a fire, a voice, a vision that's waiting to be unleashed. So here's your reminder. Feel the fear, honor it, and then move anyway. Because courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to rise in the face of it. And that decision, that's where your power lives. Chapter 7. From distraction to discipline. Let's be honest, distraction is everywhere. Your phone lights up. A notification dings. Your thoughts drift to something easier, quicker, more entertaining. And before you know it, another hour is gone. Another goal postponed. Another dream delayed. It's not that you're lazy. It's that your attention is under attack. In a world designed to steal your focus, discipline is your rebellion. But this chapter isn't about hustle or pushing yourself to burnout. This isn't about grinding harder or being productive every minute. This is about learning to take your power back from the things that drain it. Because distraction is more than just losing time. It's losing direction. And over time, that adds up. You look back and realize you've been busy but not fulfilled. You've been occupied but not aligned. You've been moving but not forward. Here's the truth. Your attention is your most valuable currency. Where it goes, your life follows. So if your focus is constantly scattered, your energy will be too. And when your energy is scattered, your potential can't take root. Discipline is the shift that brings you back to center. It's not about rigidity. It's not about being perfect. It's about making aligned choices on purpose. It starts by asking yourself, what matters most to me right now? What would move the needle not just today, but long term? What's noisy and what's necessary? When you get clear on your priorities, discipline becomes easier, not because the distractions disappear, but because you know what's worth resisting them for. Let's break a myth. Discipline is not motivation. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the structure that keeps the fire going when the spark fades. Motivation is how you start. Discipline is how you finish. You don't need to feel inspired to take action. You need to feel committed. And commitment isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things consistently, even when it's inconvenient. It's waking up early to write when no one's asking you to. It's saying no to short-term pleasure for long-term gain. It's staying with the discomfort of growth when escape is just one scroll away. Yes, distraction is seductive. It offers instant gratification. But discipline, it offers transformation. Every time you choose focus over chaos, every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you finish what you start, even when it's not exciting, you send a message to your brain, I am someone who follows through. And that identity begins to shape everything. Discipline builds confidence. It rewires your habits. It becomes your superpower. Because when the world is busy reacting, you're creating. When others chase validation, you're building substance. When the noise gets loud, you stay rooted. This doesn't mean you never rest. It means your rest becomes intentional, not unconscious. It means your energy is invested, not wasted. So how do you shift from distraction to discipline? Start small. Discipline isn't built in a day, it's built in the daily. Set boundaries. With your phone, with people, with your own habits. Design your environment to support focus, not sabotage it. Celebrate progress. Each small win reinforces the habit. Remember your why. When you forget the reason, the resistance wins. Here's the bottom line. Discipline is the bridge between your intention and your reality. If distraction is the thief, discipline is the shield. And every time you choose it, every time you honor your purpose over your impulses, you build a life of integrity. So ask yourself today, what am I building with my time? What am I fueling with my focus? Because your future isn't just something you stumble into. It's something you train for one focused hour, one disciplined decision at a time. Chapter 8. From approval seeking to authenticity. Approval is addictive. We chase it in likes, praise, applause. But the more we need it, the more we lose touch with who we really are. You start adjusting your voice, dimming your dreams, editing yourself to fit in. But here's the thing. Approval is borrowed. It can be taken away at any time. Authenticity, on the other hand, is owned. No one can take it from you. Authenticity is choosing truth over popularity. It's speaking up even when your voice shakes. It's creating things that reflect your values, not just what's trending. And ironically, the more authentic you are, the more magnetic you become. Because people crave real, they crave connection. And that starts with you showing up fully, flaws and all. The goal isn't to be liked by everyone. The goal is to live a life that you like. Chapter 9. From waiting to creating. How many dreams die waiting? Waiting for the right moment. Waiting for the fear to go away. Waiting for someone to say, "You're ready now." But here's the truth. No one is coming to give you permission. And the perfect moment? It doesn't exist. What exists is this one, this imperfect, uncertain, but available moment. Creating is scary. It means showing up before you have it all figured out. But it's also the only way anything meaningful ever gets built. Creating means saying, "I may not know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm doing it anyway." It means risking judgment, learning on the fly, adjusting as you go. It means starting. Don't wait for clarity. Create it. Don't wait for momentum. Make it. Don't wait for certainty. Trust yourself enough to move without it. Because every master was once a beginner who refused to keep waiting.